Hey, welcome back. I'm Luminous Ra, and today we are going to dive into a very deep discussion. Let's go ahead and clear the air and the energies before we begin with some frankincense and myrrh, and we're going to jump right into the discussion. Okay, now that we have the energies clear, let's go ahead and dive right in. After this gigantic shift in my life, I was left with one question. What do you do when the person that you thought you were going to build forever with is no longer in your life? That is a tough question that I had to sit with after my engagement ended. And if you're watching this, maybe you're carrying your own version of that question right now, whether it's marriage, a relationship, or just someone who felt like home. I don't want you to think that I'm taking this lightly because I'm not. I know a breakup isn't just about two people parting ways. It shapes your entire identity, your routines, and your sense of safety. So, knowing that, I want to share what's been helping me heal. Not the surface stuff or cliches, but real practices, the hard truths, and the small shifts that have been keeping me grounded. When it first ended, before I hit any dark moments, I had to be honest, there was a sense of relief. And after the relief, I can only focus on getting over it. But I couldn't escape the times where silence felt heavy, where my mind kept replaying the what ifs or the maybe I should haves. But even though that's what my mind was doing and oftentimes my body followed, I knew I couldn't stay there. Healing had to mean more than surviving. It had to mean me finding myself again. And while I dealt with all of that in private, there was a community wondering what happened after I made the announcement. Many of you shared after reading my closing letter, you felt like you were being broken up with too. I guess we're all in the same boat. And after that, people have been asking me, how do you keep your mental up? How do you handle this with so much grace? So let's talk about it. Once I was able to reflect how I was dealing with the breakup, I realized that there are four main pillars that's basically helping me hold it all together. These are the four pillars that I use to empower myself while still honoring my feminine energy. If you feel that you didn't deal with your breakup well, or you haven't been dealing with your breakup well, or you're not in your feminine energy while going through this breakup, that's okay. Still, be gentle with yourself. If you follow these steps, they'll help you get a bit closer to where you want to be. And I'm going to remind you again, please be gentle with yourself, because even with me, as I went through this transition and I followed these pillars, I was gentle with myself as well. The first anchor is the spiritual anchor. And this is where we do prayers, affirmations, and we really hone in on the ritual that's going to uphold us spiritually and mentally. Then we're going to go through the body regulation. This is basically the running, the yoga, breath work, eating clean. This is going to hone in and focus on our nervous system. Next, we have the emotional permission, basically crying when needed, allowing anger, sitting with the grief and not suppressing any parts of your emotions, not shunning yourself, not making yourself feel guilty or like a bad person or even like a goofy, goofball, silly, clownish, pick Misha energy, really focusing on not beating yourself up for how you feel, because your emotions are your alert system and we want to honor that. And then we have joy and creation. This is where you get inspired to do things, where you allow some of that frustration to turn into something beautiful. If you think about it, a lot of your favorite artists or actors use breakups and frustrations and moments of loss to create some of the best bodies of work you'll ever imagine. I'm so excited to share this with you. Let's go ahead and dive into the first one. Mind you, I didn't have anything planned. This is what I did when I hit the ground running. These were the things that I was guided to do. So with the spiritual anchor, I was guided to read different verses of the Psalms. It made me feel warm and whole inside. And if you want to know the exact Psalms, I did prepare an ebook and workbook, and all of the information is going to be available on Patreon as well. If you're interested in going a little bit deeper and diving into the specifics of what I did, I was guided to wake up around 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. And I did this not because I felt holy or I felt strong. Ironically enough, it was because I needed something bigger than my pain to carry it. I feel like a lot of times we feel like we are God's strongest soldiers, or we're the strongest friend, or we're there for everybody, and we just have this backbone and this platform where we hold everything. For me, I didn't have anyone that I could really trust to lay this on, not because I didn't want to be judged or anything, but I also wanted to lead with a clear conscience. I didn't want to feel like I was placing blame on my partner. I spent a lot of time with this person and I chose this person. There's an aspect of it where I have just as much accountability in this partnership, beginning, lasting, and ending, as much as the other person does as well. It was really important to me to clear my energy and kind of speak to what was going on without worrying about someone taking things out of context and turning against this person. That's not what I wanted to do. I did want to turn to the divine. I did need words of encouragement just to open up that door so that I can connect with the divine and really say how I felt and talk about everything that was going on without shame or guilt or wondering whether someone was going to attack this person, and just allow the divine to take the weight off of me and allow me to still process everything and move forward, but in a lighthearted spirit when I could. So I was very intentional about bringing the divine into this process with me and making sure that I didn't feel alone. I'm here for you, but I needed something way bigger than me and way bigger than the pain to be there for me. I think that that was one of the best decisions that I could have ever made. And there's something about promising yourself that you're going to show up every single day and pray every single day, every single morning, and it turns into a ritual, and it just feels like you're replacing some of the things that are being taken away from you with something a little bit more healthy, something more productive, something that makes you feel safe. The ritual of waking up every morning and doing these prayers gave me solid ground and solid footing. Every morning I felt like I was telling myself, you're safe, you're guided, you're not alone. And when you can feel the divine's presence, it makes it that much more intimate. I was able to start my day with a clean canvas, a clean surface, and just get into the next one, which was reminding myself that the body keeps score. I didn't realize what I was doing at the time, but I wanted to get active. I needed to get out of this house, out of this space, and feel a little bit more free. And I felt like because of the breakup, I was feeling suffocated. I needed some fresh air. I needed a different scenery, and I needed to work the emotions through my body. We have to remember that breakups just don't break your heart. It also breaks your nervous system. My body was holding on to tension, grief, and even anger. So I had to be sure that I got up and I started moving. Some days I was running. Other days it was yoga or stretching. Sometimes it was just a simple walk with my son. The movement became a way of me telling my body that we're not stuck. We're still moving forward. And in moving, I made sure that I did it for an hour every day. If I did cut it short, it was because I was doing some other physical activity. I wanted to dedicate at least an hour of the day to get my body moving because I was clearing my slate spiritually and I was involving a lot of movement in my day. I also wanted to implement clean eating. I just wanted to start fresh. I wanted to clear my entire life's canvas because I noticed what I put in my body shifted how heavy or light my emotions felt. I've shared this before on other platforms, but I'm not sure if I shared it with you yet. I am a Virgo moon, and if you're into astrology, you might know a little bit about this. Typically, Virgo moons tend to have some type of digestive or stomach related issues, and in this time, I wanted to give my body something to really operate at its full capacity. I noticed that even with the movement, the prayer, the eating clean, my cycle was even lighter than ever to deal with as well, which made my days easier to begin and stay committed to what I was doing. So keep that in mind. When you get started, when you do the thing, start leaning into eating a little bit clean, maybe adding some fruits, maybe a little bit more water, adding some fiber to your meal plan so that you can digest a little bit better, getting really in tune with the body and how your body responds to everything around it and everything that you put in it. That will absolutely help you, especially with your mindset and everything that's going on in here that's making things really heavy and tough. For the emotional permission, for me, this has been an ongoing work in progress. Allowing myself to feel my emotions and not just analyze my emotions. I tend to be an overthinker, and maybe you are too. I don't know, but allowing myself to feel my emotions and not analyze my emotions, I have found myself being very intentional about doing that, because if I allow myself, I will just overanalyze everything, and then I'm all in my head and I'm stuck in this loop that I can't get out of. So allowing myself to cry and not trying to figure out why I'm crying, just allowing myself to be, allowing myself to feel and not judging myself. There were times where I was like, okay, you're dragging it. And I had to remind myself, be gentle with you, girl. Imagine you saying that to a kid. And I probably would say that to a kid, like, you dragging it. And we would turn it into a joke and we would transform that energy. But it was was really important for me to sit in the energy and make sure I allowed myself the time, the space, and the honor and respect to let my emotions come through and say something. They wanted to speak. They wanted to be in the forefront. They wanted to express. And I felt it was really important to allow myself to go through that process, because for so long I equated strength with holding everything in. But healing meant giving myself permission to feel anger, sadness, even confusion. I've stopped shaming myself for not being over it. You got to be honest with yourself. Strength isn't about pretending you're okay. It's about being honest with yourself until you actually are. So if I wanted to cry, if I wanted to ugly cry, I was going to let myself ugly cry. Like legit ugly cry. There was nothing dainty about it. But I wanted to honor myself, Oftentimes with the confusion, allowing my emotions to transpire and come through, I was able to pinpoint why I was feeling the way I was feeling. I was actually getting my answers, allowing my emotions to flow more so than holding them back. And allowing it to flow in that moment, I was able to reflect and say, oh, I believe this is why I'm going through this, because it's this time of day and typically we talk around this time. Or maybe I'm enjoying a meal and I realize, oh yeah, I had plans for the future and I thought that this was going to be my life going forward and I was going to have this partner. And you got to be honest with yourself about what you really want and who you are and why you wanted what you wanted, why you held on so long and why you were fighting for it and why you were going through hell and hot water trying to make something beautiful and blissful that was basically fighting against you. And the truth is, humans like companionship. Even me, as an Aquarius, as a loner, been a loner my whole life, I still value companionship. I still value close relationships. It's just my bar is kind of high when it comes to allowing a person into my being. I'm not going to settle for shitty friendships. I'm not going to settle for shitty relationships. I'm not going to settle for shitty family paradigms. Even though it makes me feel like it's making my life hard, I just won't settle. And if that means I'm going to be alone for the rest of my life or just have my son, then so be it. You know what I mean? But I don't value clinging on to things that go against everything that I've worked so hard toward. I've worked really hard towards becoming this individual, and I'm not going to allow people to come into my life and turn me into something that I don't want to be. All of that wrapped together has everything to do with honoring how you feel. And I felt heavy. I felt disrespected. I felt alone in a lot of these relationships that I've gone through in the past, and I just can't tolerate it anymore. I'm not going to be tolerable and convince myself to sit in situations that are really hurting my feelings. Let's be honest, I'm a very sensitive person, even though I know how to carry myself and I can be the shoulder to lean on for so many other people and I can be strong. At the same time, I have to honor the fact that I need that too. And in order to have that, I have to be that for myself. And I also have to respect myself enough to not allow people to just come in and do whatever they please, and honor how I feel as well, and not allow people to come into my life and make me feel like my feelings aren't okay or aren't valid, especially since I'm very responsible and accountable of how I share my feelings. I'm very intentional about how I create space when it comes to feelings and comes to other people's feelings. And I think that it's just kind and fair to be with a person or be around people or have close relationships with people that allow me to have the same space that I give to them when it comes to emotional safety. Next is joy and creation. Mind you, all of these things are all happening at the same time simultaneously, and I'm just breaking it up to try to make it make sense. I remember there was a day that I got up and I did my prayer and I got ready to get on the track, and I'm running and I'm doing my thing, and I'm like, you know what? I really need an affirmation right now. So I was talking to myself and saying, girl, you are love. You will bring love to you. I was like, you know what? I actually need affirmations, and I need the affirmations to be in my voice. And I'm just going to write it down. So if you can imagine, I'm walking down the track fast, huffing and puffing, doing my breathing exercises, and I'm typing my affirmations up. I was like, yeah, let me actually speak my affirmations. Oh, let me voice record the affirmations. And then when I get home, I'll organize it, put it all together. And then every morning, instead of listening to music, because I felt like a lot of music didn't have the words of how I felt and where I wanted to go. They focus on the heartache. They focus on that one theme that they're experiencing. But I needed something to speak life into me. I needed a certain vibration. I needed a certain hertz and frequency. I just did it. And I was like, yeah, this is what I need. So even when walking, sometimes my affirmations of what I'm manifesting into my life, into my future, made me cry, because it made me realize, in a sense, I deserve more. It's making me realize how much I took on that I didn't deserve, how much I've grown, and why I grew out of this position, because I realized what I actually want. And oftentimes I find myself not really knowing what I want. I know what I want in terms of like surface stuff or big stuff. The person needs to have a certain aspect of their life together, because I'm not trying to be miserable with this person, right? They have to be emotionally mature, show up like this and show up like that. But if I were to sit here right now and write 100 things that I want in a partner, I would probably get stuck at like 4 or 5. What do I want in a partner? And I would have to get past this aspect of not feeling like I deserve it or not feeling like that thing exists. Creating also showed me where I have limiting beliefs when it comes to what I want and what I deserve, and whether there's someone out there that's going to be able to receive that, and how I view myself as well. In creating that, I realized I was not just getting over a person, but I was also getting back to myself. When I got back to myself, I realized that it was kind of an empty canvas, and I needed to build onto who I'm becoming and lean into who I'm growing into, while also noticing, even leaning into wanting more or feeling like I deserve more. I was pushing past the reactive want to numb my emotions or numb my pain, and I was actually healing because I was facing something. I was thinking bigger than what I thought I deserved, and in that, I was able to observe myself better and see how small I've been playing it for myself. And I also realized that safety comes before the loyalty in the relationship. Even that small affirmations and saying everything that I said, I realized that I value loyalty even more than my own safety. It made me revisit my standards and how I need to have Harvard strong standards. If you were a part of our last conversation, then you know what I'm talking about. But if not, you didn't miss out, baby. Just go back and join the last conversation when you're done with this conversation. Once again, and it never ceased to amaze me, one of the most surprising parts about healing was enjoying life alone again. I started to go to places that I loved, even the ones we used to go to together. I went to yoga classes. I even went to a party by myself, and I had a lot of fun. I revamped my content. I made a playlist. I created my affirmations that I listen to while I'm on a track. It really created a space where I realized that healing isn't just about grieving what you lost. It's about remembering the parts of you that still exist and showing you how much room you have for who you're growing into and giving yourself space to breathe again. I can also say that in the joy in creating, I am inspired to get back into painting. I have been wanting to paint for the past 3 years, okay? And I did a little bit of painting, but going out every morning and looking at the sky and seeing how beautiful it is every single morning and how different it is. There's times that we even went out when it was raining and it was dark. Looking at the sky and looking at the clouds, all I want to do is just paint clouds. And I have these different ideas of how I want to go about it, and just trying to capture the way the divine creates this picture of life we oftentimes walk past and don't even recognize and don't pay attention to, and we're not as grateful for it as we should be. We often go through our days like we expect to be alive, and we expect to be in good health, and we expect to be in love, and we just expect so much, right? And it kind of slowed everything down and opened everything up and broadened my view and made me realize there's so much that I haven't been able to admire about life, and I kind of want to capture that. I want to be able to put brush to canvas and express my love for it and my devotion for it in a way, and I'm just like wrapped up in the clouds all the time. Joy and creation go hand in hand, baby. The second that you're inspired to do something, do it right away. Don't waste time, or make a mental note right away, and you'll just find that your days are wrapped in this new world that you're creating because you're not pushing everything out. And because I'm letting everything flow, I'm able to get the divine nudges and really appreciate everything for what it is and not looking at it from such a gloomy perspective, even though days have been gloomy, but honoring those days, not being in toxic positivity all the time. It's tough. It's a challenge to overcome this big transition because you choose your partners and you fall in love with your partner, and oftentimes you don't want it to stop. You want it to last forever, right? Especially when you still love that person, especially when you create something with that person. For some, it's children. For us, it was content, it was memories, it was trips and vacations, and just learning ourselves through all these different experiences. I just want to create and I want to honor that, and I don't want to be miserable, and I don't want to hate this person. But I'm starting to realize, even saying that I don't hate this person, I feel like there was a lot of disappointment, not just for them, but also for myself as well, and where I dropped the ball as well, and just looking at everything from different perspectives. And I feel like I'm going through all of these different phases where when I first went through it, I wanted to talk about it immediately. I wanted to get it off my chest. I wanted to rush through it, and I wasn't able to. Like, I was having technical difficulties. Later, more information was arising, and I was like, oh, okay, I see what was going on, and I can kind of picture it. Later, I started to see how my guessing of what was going on, it wasn't absolute. There could be other reasonings and other truths to that as well. And then there was another point where I was just like, okay, I'm finally able to kind of let this go and not focus on the good or the bad, but just, in a sense, kind of wrap it up and just see it for what it is, this beautiful chaos. And now I'm in more of a soft space. I'm more in my femininity. I'm able to balance my days a little bit better and honor myself a little bit more and lean more into the things that I want to do. I'm grateful. I'm really grateful for that. I'm already going into this, but this is what I learned. Safety has to come before loyalty. I needed spaces where I felt safe, because when I don't feel safe, I'm like a caged animal. I react in ways that I can't necessarily predict, or I start to shut down and clam up. My light and my happiness seems to disappear from me. So there was a part of me that realized that you don't hold on to someone that makes your space, your mental and your spirit feel unsafe. And they may not be intentionally trying to harm you. I mean, sometimes people get petty. Yeah. There's a moment where you have to realize that a person is not capable of protecting you from themselves. They're not capable of protecting you from their trauma. They're not capable of protecting you from any outside sources, and they're not capable of managing their stress. As much as you love them, it won't change that there's something that they have to learn and grow through in order to be capable. Yes, it can be sad that they don't have the capacity. There's a moment of time where I looked at everything and I said, it must have been really tough for him as well. One thing that I realized I didn't want to do or be in relationship was a person that didn't know. It's tough being the person that knows. Oh my God, I want to cry. It's tough being the healer. It's tough being the person that knows better. It's tough being the person that has done a lot of the work and has showed up and kind of feels like they're the guiding light. When you're the type of person that wants to do your best and be your best, and you genuinely don't know how, and you feel shame, especially if you already feel shame and you already feel insecure and you want to be better and do better, but you can't get out of your own way because you can't see yourself and you don't know how to see yourself because it's incredibly too painful. Because if you've gone so long without being able to see and look at yourself and not having the people to really inspire you out of the darkness that you're in, that's a really tough place to be. There's a lot of grace that I give to my partner, because it's not a good feeling like every time somebody looks at you, they're disappointed or they're ashamed. If you think about both sides, you get into this partnership because you feel love and you feel valued and you feel all of these beautiful things. When you realize that you're getting in your own way and you're causing your own sadness and destruction and hurt, and you don't know how to stop, I feel like that would break you down really harshly. I think that is one of the main reasons why I don't want to beat him up, because there's an aspect of me that understands that. But even in understanding that, I still wasn't in a good place to hold space for that and not be hurt, especially emotionally. So I wasn't able to be a safe space after a while to hold all of that. I have to honor myself there as well. You know, a lot of us fight to the end and to the destruction of self, and I just needed to pull myself out before I really felt like I was destroyed, because I wouldn't be able to sit here and have this revelation that I have now, and to be able to see it and feel this compassion of, damn, it was really hard for them as well. We all have experienced moments in our lives where we wanted to be the best and we wanted to show up the best for people, just be recognized for trying our hardest. And I feel like we've all been met with situations where we weren't met with what we thought we needed or thought we were gonna get when we tried our hardest. The whole reason why I have these discussions in the first place is because some of us are that person, you know, and healing requires Harvard strong boundaries with yourself. Even knowing all of what I just shared and breaking up, and I still had love for this person, I still had to manage the temptation of the what ifs or the possibilities of going back. I had to make a decision. I had to make sure that I didn't break my own promises. I had to have discipline and love for my future self, because knowing everything that I know that I don't have the capacity to stay and see whether this person grows, and they don't deserve to feel like I'm waiting on them to be better to love them again. Knowing when to leave is really important. I'm learning that. I'm learning all of this new stuff that I didn't know prior. Every day I feel like I'm waking up with new wisdom and information. And most importantly, healing isn't about getting over someone. It's about getting back to self, rebuilding, expanding. If you are dealing with a breakup, you are expanding into something brand new, and absolutely give yourself time to explore that authentically, not just jump to the next thing and make the next big move. Sitting with yourself and discovering what all of this means for you now. If you're going through a breakup right now, I just want you to know that you're not broken. Your body, your spirit, and your soul just need space to reroute. Now, in this chat, I gave you an overview of what I did, but if you really want to go step by step into the process and do the deep work with me, I've created something more structured for you. In this guide, I walk you through the exact practices with journal prompts and healing routines, and of course, the affirmations for your new, brighter future, especially with a new partner. All of the things that I've used. I'll link it below, and whenever you're ready, go ahead and check it out. Until then, give yourself grace, baby. Cry when you need to, laugh when you can, and keep moving towards your brighter future self. If this resonates, leave me a comment, and don't forget to subscribe if you want to keep walking through this together. I appreciate you so much for spending this time with me. I enjoyed our chat. I'll see you soon. That is my time. Peace, love, and a little bit of spice. Mwah.